Okay, hello. I'll be teaching how to learn Python, well, at least the basics. So in Python, it's, I'd say, the most easiest coding language. Let's start off. There's variables. Everyone knows what a variable is. There can either be a string or an integer. String as in a word, integer as in any form of number, but a decimal number is considered as a float variable instead. So let's say we wanted to make integer, or no, a variable is something that equals something else so you can use it later. Let's say our name, we'll put our name, and in quotation marks means it's a word, aka string. And if we were to print that, which means display on screen, we could print our name. And later on you can set the name to be anything you want. And you can use that anywhere you want in the code. Python has different sorts of libraries, each used for their own reasons, I guess. So let's use you can import a library using the imports, then the library name. I'll import the OS, aka operating system. Lets you run basic terminal codes in Python. So you would os.system, and you put your terminal code between the parentheses. So let's say I wanted to clear the screen. Cleared. So in Python you can do basic math, like let's say number 1 is 2. Let's do it here. 1, number 1 is 1. Number 2 is, let's say, 5. Variables can either start with a letter or an underscore, nothing else, unless it will not be considered a variable. So you can do basic addition, so 1 plus 2, and it'll print out 6 because 5 plus 1 is 6. You can do multiplication, you can do division, you can do the multiplication and also round it to the nearest certain number. So let's say it's the nearest second digit, so you would round, and as you can see, that happens. So, and what is here is called a float. There's also different variables like booleans and tuples, but I won't get into that. We'll just focus on the basic variables as string and integers. So you can also do an array. An array is sort of like a list. Let's say, let me clear the screen again. Let's say our array, anything between these two brackets will be considered the array. So it's like, let's say, like a grocery shopping list. We have eggs, we have milk, and we have cheese. So that's our array. So we could always print out our array if we wanted to, or we could print out certain parts of an array. An array starts with the first one as being 0, 1, 2. So if we wanted to print out eggs, we could do our array in brackets 0. It would print out eggs. Change it to 1, it would print out milk. And you get the idea. You can do the same thing even with strings. So let's say my string can equal cow. We can get the first letter of cow, print my string as, remember, it always starts with 0 as the first. We could do the second letter, or even the third. But if you try to go over the length of each word in the string, you will probably give back an error in the standard integer library as saying string index is out of range. So there is nothing in the third section. It starts from 0 and goes on. Now I will show you how to get the user's input. Let's say our name is going to equal raw underscore input, meaning that you can ask a question and the user's input, anything the user types there, will be given the variable name. So we'll type enter your name, and so let's just enter that. Now we have the variable named called whatever we just entered here, and we can always just print that, and yeah. So those are strings. Now let's say you wanted to, I don't know, round. You wanted to maybe put an integer and turn it into a string. Well, you can always do that with the str or the int command. So here's our name. We can make our name equal 10, but 10 is not an integer because it's between parentheses marks. So it will be counted as a string instead. If we wanted to turn 10 into an integer, we would do int and then our variable. And so now it's an integer. Well, actually we would have to make it equal integer. Now if we try to print it, it'd still be an integer. So you can turn integers to strings with the str, and then you put your integer right here. Or you can turn string into an integer with the integer and then your string here. This can go with any sort of variables. Let me clear the screen. So now that I've covered that, there also is the system library. So you can import system. The system library can do a lot of things. It can, well, let's say, write to the screen, hello. And it does not make a line normally like print would. So that's useful in some situations, but it makes it a bit glitchy. The system library, whenever you run a Python script, you can add things later. So let me make a test script right here. Import OS system, import system. Now, so the first thing we put after calling our Python file, syst argument, the first thing, 1, will be called name. The second thing will be, after we put it, will be called age. So system argument 2. Age is going to be a number, so we have to put it into an integer. So integer age. And so then our file will print out our name plus, that's how you can add other things when you print or add something, plus it will print out your name and your age is plus your age that you have defined. And then you can also do the system exit, which basically quits the profile or the code. Anyways, let's save it as test.python, aka the py extension, and we can go and call it. Well, as you can see, if we just normally call it, it has an error because we haven't given a value yet. So let's try calling it, but our first value will be our name, our second value will be our age, and oh, we have an error. You cannot combine a string and integer with objects. Okay, so we're gonna have to turn age, since it's an integer, into a string by using the string command. Save it, clear, run it again, and it says the name and your age is the age you have entered. Now you could change your name, change your age, and it would always print out whatever your input was. This has been Learning Python, and I will probably make another episode later. So until then, goodbye.